The Daily Drama Podcast with Stephen Bradford, presented by dailydrama.com. We have a fantastic guest today, one of the freshest, most handsome faces on the show right now. Stepped right in, and all of a sudden he was one of our Man Crush Mondays. The second week he was on the show. We don't decide that, by the way. That's decided by other people, but we're very excited about it. Anyway, we have Sawandi Wilson, who plays Isaiah. Hey, man.
Dr. Isaiah.
Dr. Isaiah.
Get it right.
That's right.
Get it right, Bradford.
That's right.
So, Sawandi, this is great. We're going to start out this way. First of all, welcome. You're awesome on the show.
Thank you.
You got great energy, great actor. Welcome. It's awesome to have you, man. Seriously. And it's funny because, you know, when a new character comes on, we always hear about that character. We're like, we like that guy. We don't like that guy. We like that guy. And everything's been super positive so far. So that's awesome. I love that. But I remember the first time I met Sawandi it was on the side of the road. That wasn't your first scene though, right?
That was my first scene.
That was his first scene. He was on the side of the road and I called 911 to save his life.
Oh,
so
already you had to be
already.
saved by Jason? My gosh, man.
You know,
usually that takes a while.
I just made a 911 call.
Okay.
But I remember that day and we were talking, this first day we met, and he was like, he's from New York, Long Island, and my girlfriend's from there. And that's what we kind of talked about. And he's like, I go, so you here? He goes, yeah, man, I packed up my girlfriend, my dog, and I drove across country. And it was amazing. And here he is.
Wow.
That was, to give you a little bit of perspective too, I must have gotten in the day before from a 6-day road trip from New York.
Yeah.
Wow.
So did you have to plan out the dog stops or what happened there?
Yeah, my fiance, she's amazing. She really, like, I just go, she plans, and I'm like, all right, let's go. No accidents, no tickets on the road.
Oh, well,
Awesome,
hey.
man. Awesome,
Is that
awesome.
had you driven cross country before?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Did you like it? Did you like it?
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, because it sounds, in my mind, it sounds like a nightmare.
Sure.
Just driving for 6 days, but we stopped in Oklahoma City. We stopped in Missouri.
OKC's cool.
Stopped in Arizona. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
The only time I drove across country was moving to LA too, because I lived in New York as well. I went to college in New York and I didn't have a car. And so bought a car in New Hampshire because that's where I'm from and there's no sales tax. And then drove it to LA. And that's the only time I've done it either. But it is something. You don't forget it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a really good reason to do it.
So you're from Long Island.
I'm from Long Island. Yep.
Yeah. What was growing up in on Long Island?
On the island, yes.
Not in Long Island, on Long Island. Right.
So I was born in Mineola, and I would spend my summers in Washington Heights, and I would live in like pretty much Long Island because my grandmother lived there. But I spent most of my year in Hicksville High School.
Okay.
But I lived in Westbury because it was that district thing. You were right on the line.
Sure.
So it was a great balance because you get the city in Washington Heights, but then you get like Long Island, which is very suburbia.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was amazing.
Yeah. What kind of kid were you? What were you into?
I was very much into breakdancing.
Oh.
I still am.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
My crew is very much a big part of my life, and it's like giving me my work ethic as an artist.
And
awesome.
Just because of what you have to do to stay in shape to do that, like talk about the work ethic of a breakdancer.
So the work ethic of a breakdancer is that of like a classically trained ballet dancer or a gymnast. Those are some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet.
Sure.
Right. So they'll train anywhere from like 5 hours a day to like 8 hours a day.
So how much of like strength training versus technique? Like and I assume a lot of it just kind of works together, but
kind of half and half, because like basically it's half and half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's just a lot of repetition.
Sure. And did that kind of base of breakdancing lead you to exploring other forms of dance as well, or no?
House, hip hop. Ultimately what it leads to is just like what we all kind of try and find as artists, right? Which is like we all want to find a way to be more comfortable in our own skin, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Express ourselves. That's what it led to for me. Like
Right.
other forms of dance, but just me being more Sawandi.
Sure. I love
And
that.
then did that transition into acting, or what gave the bug
Yeah.
there?
So I met my crew, and then someone from my crew gave me an opportunity to do an internship where I would work with a bunch of other artists like Swiss Beats, who like produced DMX's
Yes,
tracks.
yeah.
I worked at Echo for a while, and he was like, "Yo, you should take this acting class." I took the class. It was Susan Batson from New York. She's like a really incredible acting coach, amazing. That led me to like taking Larry Moss, taking Bob Krakauer, taking Mariska Phillips. These are like my giants as coaches. And yeah, it would have never happened had I not like taken myself so seriously as a dancer and like
Yeah.
as an artist, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And so how does that, like, obviously now that um you're doing our show, it requires some work ethic for sure. And so you're finding that serves you, I bet.
100%. I think the biggest thing that I find is like within dance, especially within breaking, is can you eat shit and just like show up the next day and just do good and show up the next day and
Yeah.
then do okay and show up like all the accept yourself in all those different levels of the day
Mm,
and
mm.
keep pushing. Like
Dude,
that's
that
the biggest lesson for me.
that lands so hard in for the work that we do, because
Totally.
every day's a new day, and you're right. If you could not necessarily hit the mark that you wanted to hit one day, but then the next day you got to come in and
Right.
have the hunger to try to, you can't carry that last
Well,
day
you got
with
it.
you.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, and that's what Sawandi. That's really actually very deep in the sense of what we do, because you're going to have those days where you struggle, as
Hmm.
and you don't beat yourself up. And because of your background, you don't beat yourself up. You just come back the next day and you're ready to roll. I mean, that is so valuable in what we do, because you really see people fall in and they're second guessing everything, and they're
Yeah.
critiquing themselves, and then they're frozen, and then they can't even perform. It's crazy to see.
Yeah. You know, Laura told me something after the first day of like the big block of scenes, and she's like, after I wrapped, she was like, the craziest scene today that you'll shoot is the one in your head of everything that you're telling yourself that might have gone wrong or gone right. Just let it go. Just go. Just go. And that was the best thing, because where else can you work this volume? You don't know, something sticks, something's amazing, something maybe not, maybe it is. And then you get to come back again and do it all over again. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a
I- I-
gift. It really
Well,
is.
and the fact that it doesn't rerun anywhere. It's
Right.
it's a flash in the pan a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah.
no one's gonna, it might end up on, someone might screen grab it and put it up on Instagram, but it doesn't really live forever like some of the other work that you do in that
Mm.
sense. Do you know what I mean?
For better or
Um,
worse, yeah.
for better, for worse. And some of the other work that you did do before coming on our show,
Yeah.
I saw on your IMDb, you did some Star Trek, you did some,
Yeah. So
like,
how long, Suwani,
yeah.
how long have you been acting formally? Just like where you're
Uh,
like, hey, I'm going to start auditioning now. Like when did that start?
that started, I would say maybe 15 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I say it, I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 15 years ago, my first huge thing that I booked was Battle of the Year with Chris Brown.
Oh, cool.
Chris Brown, Josh Peck, Josh Holloway,
Mm.
Lazalon, and like some of the best B-boys on earth were in that film.
Wow. Wow. And so
Fancy.
you were working in New York up until just recently. It was all out of New York?
Yeah, all out of New York. If anything came up big that I would book, I would fly out there, of course, but home base was always New York. Yeah.
Wow. So was the opportunity to come out here, was that something you were like keenly ready for, you and your fiance, or was it like, oh, we have a life here. Do we really have to go to that crap city, LA?
Well, I've never seen LA as a crap city. I lived
Okay.
out here maybe like 2 years before,
Sure.
I love LA. LA is
Okay.
great.
Okay.
There's certain
It's not New York.
It's not New York. It's not New York, right? No shade on LA. LA's great, but I'm not ever gonna find the Caribbean food that I love in New York
Sure.
here.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
ever gonna find the quality of a bagel that I'm gonna get in New
well,
York.
that's true too.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna happen, and I accept that.
Yeah, you don't seem to be a big carb eating guy to me though.
Well,
It's for the better. It's for the better.
but you know what's interesting, because I spent a lot of time in New York these last couple of years, because of my girlfriend, you know, on Long Island and in the city.
Mhm.
And you know, the city has always been elusive to me because I would come in for a day over the years, but I got to walk the streets, and there's nothing like walking the streets in New York and walk in Central Park. I'm going to tell anybody, if they've never done it, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And the best food in the world is in New York City. I'm just saying, hands down. Now, look, the West Coast is amazing. The weather's great. You got the beach. You do have good food here too. It's obviously a totally different vibe, but man, to have the best of both worlds of California and New York, like I don't think you can get better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can. It's like, but I love the city so much, man.
There's this word in LA that you'll never hear in New York. It's called walkability. You'll never hear that word in New York because it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine. That's funny. On Realtor, they say walkability.
Right. New York is such a hidden, there's so many hidden gems you could find just by walking and
It's the best, dude.
that you could live there your whole life and have never seen your whole life. To see for the first time in this one place.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is really good. I love it.
When I moved to LA in my mid-20s, and building a community, building a network, and what I always loved about New York is, and I this is how I described it back then, is like in New York you can wander into something and find a community. Like, you can, as you said, whether it's in your own neighborhood and or other neighborhoods, like you could find something you've truly undiscovered that's been there the whole time you've been there. And people, you can wander into something and people will welcome you in. And LA, like you have to know where to go. You have to pinpoint it. You have to find it. You're not wandering into anything in LA. And so I find it's harder to build a community in LA for that reason. New York feels very inclusive, where LA feels very exclusive.
You live a little bit more on the fly in New York because it's everything trained right away.
Yeah.
Here, I did like 3 things, and by like 4 p.m. I was exhausted. I'm like, what? I feel like I didn't do anything at all.
Dude, I know, it's so funny.
It's wild.
I know. We were just having dinner, and we're like, oh, we could catch a Broadway show. How many blocks is it? We're like, okay, we could do 10 blocks real cool. It's like you just can do anything there. It's awesome. So did you ever do any theater, Sawandi?
I did some off Broadway. And obviously, because the proscenium of theater and the proscenium of daytime and soaps, it's something that was such an exhilarating experience for me. It's so alive. As cliches, you hear every actor say how cliche.
Oh, it's awesome.
Sure.
Amazing it is and how you feel that. But I do feel that, and the teamwork as well.
Yeah. There are some similarities. Like, now that you've been here and you've done lots of different disciplines, one thing a lot of people comment on is how what we do in daytime feels. There's similarities, and there's like it feels the most live of any filmed thing that we do. And it sounds like you agree with that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I have so much respect for everybody, the whole genre of this and what this is, because I had no idea coming into this. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought, coming from me, like a crazy day, the craziest day I had before was something I produced and shot, and coming in from like a different shoot the same day. And it was maybe 3 scenes or 2 scenes.
Yeah.
That was it, which was like 3 pages.
Sure.
Not 50 pages.
Yeah. What's been your biggest day there so far at work?
You know my biggest day. You were there for my biggest day.
You had a lot of scenes, huh? How many scenes?
Yeah.
You know how many scenes you had?
It must have been, I know it was like close to maybe like 45 pages.
Yeah, that's
About
a
50, I
big
would say
one.
50 pages it was.
Yeah, that's a big day. That's a big day. Yeah.
That was a wild day for me, but I learned a lot about the process and I learned a lot about myself that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes you're gonna figure out like what scenes are really worth spending the time on, and then
Yes.
what scenes you can go, all right, this is a 1.5 pager. I'm gonna be okay in this scene. If I just
Right.
run it a few times before, you know, obviously you're familiar with it because you never really like with 50 pages. Like I had Friday, I had 6 shows.
Right.
It was close to 50 pages, right? And you're like, there's no way you're having all this memorized.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay. And I have a great memory, but it's not, if you took those 50 pages away, I wouldn't even know where to begin. You know what I'm saying? But I know it well enough that I can go over it as we all do, run it and run it and run it and run it. And it's never fully memorized. That's what people, I mean, some people, if you're doing 3 or 4 scenes, that could be locked in. But if
Mhm.
you're having 50 pages, it's different. You're running it all the way up to tape, right? You're even going, hey, let's run it one more time right after rehearsal, just to get your kind of, get it down. Like it's pretty crazy, man. Like, but you got thrown into the fire, buddy, and it's okay. You made it.
Which is like, that's something I had to really let go of in the beginning, which is like, for everything else that I've done, there's this control freak in me that's got to know it. What I say, what the other person says, know it
Yes.
backwards, forwards. I had to know it. Otherwise, I couldn't be myself on set and be like carefree and just whatever. But with this, I have to take it one scene at a time. I have to
And
be
that's listen, that's the greatest thing you could ever learn
right,
is one scene at a time. That's it.
right. And
Right.
I,
So here's the thing, like, and you're probably figuring this out. Like, you got to figure out what your process is for the week.
yeah, yeah.
Right? Like Maurice, he would get all his, if he had 5, 6, 7, 8 shows, he'd get them all. He'd literally break them down, sit in
Mhm.
bed Saturday, Sunday, read through them a bunch, do his little notes and stuff. And then he'd kind of refresh as he went through the week.
Yeah.
For me, I just look at it the night before. That's it. Like 50 pages. I literally was 7 p.m. I worked late the night before. I had 50 pages and I was so tired. And my girlfriend's like, just go to bed. Just get up early. Just go to bed. I go, but if I don't read it once, I'm dead. Like I'll have
Yeah.
so much anxiety of like, I don't know what I'm facing the next day. But yeah, it's just figuring out what works for you where you don't feel that anxiety of like, I don't even know how I'm going to make it through,
Right.
27 scenes. I don't know if I can do it. And, even though you can and you will, and you'll get through it, you still have that pressure, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's just everybody else on the crew has just been working there for such a long time and you feel that and it's like, let's go, let's go. But in what we do, if you just I was talking to a friend of mine, I was saying what we're doing is making instant coffee taste like the most premium French roast you've ever had,
That's a beautiful way to say it. Yeah.
right? And making it taste just so good, so much
Yeah.
texture, so much time we put into brewing this thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really learning right now, and I'm so grateful to have this experience.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It really is.
Like, what is your process right now? Is it, are you trying to get multiple days in your head? Are you kind of like looking at it the night before? Always look at my call time and be like, okay, between now and when my call time is, right? Like that's,
As soon as I get it, I have to learn it.
Mm.
Like I have
Ooh.
to know at the very least, be able to summarize what's going on with the story as soon as I get it.
Right.
That's
That's
just the way
probably
my
good.
brain works. I just have to do that, and I just have to keep doing that. And
Mm.
just like those old printers that go back.
The dot matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that's what my brain's printing the picture every single
Yeah.
time I read it.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have when you're memorizing, do you have a pretty good like visual memory? Do you see the words on the page? Or you, because some
Yeah,
people have to actually write the words down. You know what I
I
mean?
do everything. I have to do it all.
Okay.
I have to write the words down. I have to read it with someone. I have to do everything always. And
Wow.
then, like Friday, that last day that I saw you, everything was done first time I did it pretty much.
Yeah.
And like I was I'm getting into a really good groove.
Good, man. That's
Famous
awesome.
last words.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right. So
Um,
tell us what's
so,
going on with your character. Like
um,
what's the background with Lucky? I don't know anything. So just give me a rundown
and
if
some
you
of
can.
it is probably still being told, but like what the stuff that the audience knows that Steve and I probably don't know.
Isaiah Gannon he started off as one of the best doctors in the United States with transplant surgery, right?
Oh, there you go.
He's been doing it since he was very young. He got very cocky and he had a procedure with a young girl and he ended up killing her.
Mm,
From that point, he decides, I'm done with this. I can't be here anymore. He flees to Somalia to work with Doctors Without Borders. Um, while there, he meets a fellow American. He meets Lucky. Uh, Word gets out that this incredible doctor is in Somalia. Then Sidwell sends out for him. He's like, listen, I've got these men in these mines. Can you help them? And he's like, yeah, I can help them. So he works with them. And Sidwell's like, by the way, you're not leaving. And so,
Sidwell.
yeah, exactly. And Lucky ends up getting himself in there, saying that he wants to join. He goes in, he breaks me out, gets stuck there, and then I go to Port Charles. As soon as I get to Port Charles, I get hit by a car in the rain. Steve helps me out.
I think it was Ava. Ava. Somebody was,
Hey,
it was another fake FBI agent who was taking Ava, working with Jagger.
Right.
They were driving, not paying attention. They hit this poor guy.
Yeah.
So that being the backstory, now, is there any? I thought I saw some scenes with somebody that
are you getting? Is General Hospital going to hire a new transplant doctor? Has
Well,
that?
See about that. I don't want to give any spoilers or anything.
we don't want to do spoilers, but
Oh, right.
stay
No.
tuned because
Yeah, General Hospital is getting a new transplant doctor.
Oh, man.
Transplant surgeon.
that's amazing, dude.
We could use.
cool.
I mean,
Look, nobody knows how to do anything there, so we
Well, I
need
was
a
gonna
lot
say,
of
I think GH like the outcomes as they call them could be better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they do pretty well for gunshot wounds to
That's true. I've been shot multiple
to
times.
mobsters.
Good. Like,
They're very good at that.
Sonny's been
Yeah.
shot probably 72 times, and he's still good. Like he's walking around thanks to General Hospital.
Yes. Yes. How is the transition to full-time Angelino going?
It's great. It's great. I'm actually walking more here than I am in New York, funny enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a husky and
Oh,
he needs
gosh.
4 miles a day.
Right.
So I'm out here
Wow.
quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What part of town are you in?
I'm in West Hollywood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Walkable.
Walkable. Great walkability.
And not too far, and not too far to work either.
No. It's always about a 15-20 minute drive, which is great.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Yeah. Have you been to the beach at all, or?
I have. I've been to Santa Monica. I've been to Venice Beach, which has changed quite a bit since last time I've been here.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's wild out there.
It is wild.
And where do I like to go? Was it Miracle Point? I'm gonna do some hikes this week at Fryman.
Oh, sure.
Prime and,
Yeah.
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 Cool, man.
Yeah. Is your fiance in the business as well?
She is.
And she was excited. Oh.
Broadway.
Ah.
wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
fantastic. So
Wow, that's a real professional.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's legit right there.
So is she excited about being in LA, or is she gonna be trying to go back and forth?
She's actually, I'm gonna pick her up from the airport in a couple hours.
Oh,
Nice.
fantastic.
She's a Philly girl, and not too happy about the Mets beating the Phillies the other day. So I rub it in a little bit. I make sure I rub it in. 'Cause I have
Yes.
to.
That's yeah. So is she does she root for the Yankees in New York then?
No, she
No.
does.
No. Okay.
He's from
All right.
Philly. He can't.
No,
root for
but I mean,
anybody
if you
from
need a New York
bro.
team, it's not going to be the National League team. It's going to be the so. Yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan, so
Are you going to root for anybody in New York, Bradford?
I rooted for the Mets a little bit, even though they beat us in '86. When I lived in New York from 98 until '06.
Okay. Oh, you're saying because she lived there, so maybe she might root for somebody there.
And I was never going to root for the Yankees, but
This doesn't feel right coming from being a Red Sox fan.
no, but so
That's-
No,
and
you
I was
can't.
I was a little sympathetic to the Mets because they were not great in that era,
Hold on,
and
let me put
they were always seemed like the second class citizens in New York. So sometimes it's nice to have a National League team. Like when I moved to LA, I was like, I can't root for the Angels because nobody likes the Angels anyway. But like the Dodgers, and around the time I moved here, Nomar was on the Dodgers, and Bill Miller and Grady Little was managing. This is a sports podcast sometimes. So it was like
Not
Red Sox.
baseball,
It was
by
like
the way.
Red Sox West when I moved out here, and I was like, oh, I can adopt the Dodgers. They're a National League team, and anyway.
There you
So
go.
yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for
okay.
that, Bradford.
Well, it is
so
kind
much.
of fun. It is kind of fun when when the Lakers, LA is more fun when the Lakers are winning or when the Dodgers are winning, because LA doesn't really rally around anything.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I don't live in LA anymore. I live in Northern California. I commute. So are people excited about the Dodgers now, or does anybody care?
No, they are. They
Yeah.
are. They're very excited,
good.
especially with like Shohei Ohtani killing it right now. Like huge.
It's so fun.
Are you a football fan and baseball or baseball?
I'm actually like my sports that I watch is more breaking, right?
Oh, interesting.
Being in the Olympics and that's a whole other subject. But
You're a big fan of Australian breakdancing? Yes.
I'm not going there. I'm
Okay,
not,
fair enough.
No.
no
I'll go there for you.
comment.
I don't even know how that even honestly, dude.
That was amazing.
No, Bradford, that was not amazing. It was a mockery.
Look,
Yeah.
here's the thing. In a culture, right? There are people that are elite level and there are people that are not so elite, right? The thing that is the most important to see or on a world stage is that the culture is moving forward and to see it in a positive light. The way that I know breaking to be is that it originated in the Bronx and it was a way to prevent violence within, especially like Black and brown communities, and prevent violence within that. And it's come such a long way from being where people were burning down buildings to collect the insurance and gang violence to a world stage. And that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
There you
I
go,
love that.
buddy.
You know what's funny? I think the last time we had a practicing breakdancer on the show, it was Kimberly McCullough. Steve, didn't Kimberly do breakdancing? Wasn't she in Electric Boogaloo too?
Yeah, I believe she was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a famous character on General Hospital called Robin Scorpio, and she was played by an actress named Kimberly McCullough, who directs now. She's a very great. She's a very successful director, but she was a child actor. Started in the show when she was what, 6, 7, Steve?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Maybe less.
And this was in the '80s, and she was a dancer. She got into breakdancing. Different era.
Listen, bro, in the 80s, everybody got into breakdancing, man.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Everybody.
So
It's such a classic. Breaking 1 and 2 and Electric
It's the
Boogaloo.
best, dude. I
If you're-
remember trying to moonwalk. Learn the moonwalk. I learned how to finally got it, like in my grandma's kitchen in Florida. I remember the exact moment because I was putting so much time into it, and I finally got it, and I was so excited. It was the best.
Do you have a,
next time I see you, Steve?
Okay, I'll bust it out.
do you have a signature move, or like do people have signature moves? I don't know.
I really love head spins. There's still some work I got to do with that. Windmills, flares, things like that. I don't know if those moves make
They
a
sound-
I know windmill. I know head spin for sure.
Yeah, you have to Google the other ones. Head spin
Yeah.
is obviously spinning on the head, but windmills and flares I love as well.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Is there any like concussion? Do people have to go into the tent ever?
Certainly can be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
Not
be
in
careful.
Australia.
Be careful. Yeah, not in Australia. Well, hey man, it's so nice getting to know you, and we're so glad that you're on the canvas with us. We're gonna have
Yeah,
some
man.
fun.
Awesome. Enjoy your week off.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Have a great day.
Thank you.